Great to see you back in part 2. For those who came to this video first, please check out the part 1 beforehand. Now, let's go back to modeling. Now that we've cut the shape of the shirt and lapels into the jacket, we will extrude them step by step. First, select the shirt part, then extrude it. Now, let's select collar and lapels and extrude them as well. Don't forget to enable symmetry. We can pull them outward tiny bit, or you can type in the number in local translate. I'll type in 0.05, like the number is very small. Select both lapels only and extrude them. I'll type in 0.03 because I want these extrusions to be really tiny. Now turn off the symmetry and extrude only the jacket's left lapel, because the left side of the jacket, as I've said before, goes over the right side. I'll type in again 0.03. Now we can clean geometry a bit on the extrusions we've just made. You can leave the geometry like this if you would like, and if you get some triangles in this step, it's not the end of the world. But if you can get all quads, it would be great. Use target weld for cleaning and soft selection for moving parts of the collar around. When you're done with the chest, let's continue our modeling with the neck and the shirt collar. Switch to 2 view panels and disable symmetry and soft selection. Select the neck edge loop with double click and pull it upwards. Scale it a bit to match the reference, and make sure to check also the side view. If you have problems with scaling, you can switch the pivot orientation. When we have the neck, let's make a tie for it. First, put the jacket into a new layer. Select it, then click the layer icon with a circle. Let's name it jacket, and you can pick whatever color you want. And now let's hide the mesh away. We will create a tie from the sphere, but not the sphere. Let me create one to show you what I mean. We can see that it has a lot of faces. By default, it creates 20 on subdivision axis and subdivision height, which is way too much. And also, we get these pesky triangles on top of it. So, we will create a sphere, but from a cube. Yes, the cube. So, create a cube, and while having it selected, press number 3 on keyboard. The 3 is also known as Smooth Mesh Preview. It lets you see how mesh will appear when smoothed without converting the smooth preview to polygons. And in the poly count view, you can see how many components the mesh would have. So select the mesh, press 3, then go to Modify to convert, then select Smooth Mesh Preview to polygons. Now we applied the smooth, so the cube doesn't have 6 faces anymore, but 96. Go to Edit mode and delete every second edge loop on all sides. We should end up with a geometrical shape such as this. This will be our tie knot. Select bottom 4 faces and delete them. Turn the jacket layer on and move the knot so it matches the size and position of the reference. Then edit it so you get the shape. Don't move the tie to the jacket just yet, as we have to create the bottom part. Now make another cube and repeat the process. Select the cube, press 3 to smooth it, then go to Modify, Convert, and select Smooth Mesh Preview to polygons. Then delete the same edges again. Move it closer to the tie knot, scale it so it matches the tie fabric on the reference. Remember, the tie is thin but wide. Select the top part, move it and delete it away. Now adjust it a bit and you can add edge loops to get a nicer shape. Don't forget to use soft selection if you need it. I'll slide edges so the spacing between edge loops is even. Now I'll move the tie a bit back and scale it with soft selection so it's narrower at the top. Move the bottom vertices from the tie knot a bit lower and form the shape. and I'll move the edge loop from the tie fabric away so we'll have easier time bridging them. Select both objects in object mode and go to mesh to combine them. I'll isolate them so the jacket won't be in the way. Click Isolate Selected in Panel Toolbar or click Ctrl and 1. You can select opposing edge loops with double click while holding Shift and use Bridge. Or we can use Target Weld and pull vertices to the tie knot. I will add another edge loop into the tie to get a nicer shape, and I will straighten the edge loops. You can do so with Scale. Select edge loop and then scale it on Y-axis, like this. Push the Y-axis handle towards the center. Do this on all edge loops if you can. When we have created the tie, we have to bend it, because the ties aren't usually so straight. They go, they lay on top of the chest. So select the top part of the tie in Edit mode, enable Soft Selection, then rotate it. I've done this before moving the tie to the chest, but you can move the tie to the chest first and then bend it. It doesn't really matter. Move the tie so that it clips with the chest a bit. This way you'll see how much you have to bend it. Then adjust the bottom part of it so it goes slightly into the jacket's edges and flatten the tie using Soft Selection. Now that we have the tie, we have to create the color of the shirt. We will create it from the neck. In Edit mode, select Multicut and disable Edge Flow. Insert an edge loop at his neck, then select the face loop around it and under Edit Mesh, select Duplicate. Now, because the mesh from which we created has a pivot point at the center of the grid, we have to recenter the pivot. So press the center pivot in the shelf to do so. Let's move the mesh to where the collar starts or goes out at the boy's neck. Switch between front and side view to position it. You can already see the front reference is not really going to work for us because, well, the drawing looks nice, but if we try to model the color like that, it would look like the color from the Count of Sesame Street. So I'll make it flatter and closer to the side view. When you're happy with the position, select the outer edge loop and scale it in width and length to get the collar shape. I'll move it up a bit and add another edge loop because I want to get that sharper collar edge. Let's now adjust the lower edge loop so that at the front it reaches the part where color splits into two halves, and lower other vertices so we form the collar's edge. Don't forget to enable symmetry for this. Given that the collar goes over the jacket, I'll make it wider. Now, what we will do is we will turn off symmetry and delete half of it, because we will only work with the left half. Take the edges that are at the front of the collar and extrude them. Let's move vertices forward and make the shape. Use Soft Selection if you need it. I'll slide some vertices around like this. Okay, now I'll form the next edge loop. Select them, click Extrude, then move them. Move other vertices as well to get the nice curvature. Repeat the process and move vertices around again. But this time, try to move the middle vertex so that we will get a quad in the tip area. Grab one edge and extrude it, position it, and then use Target Weld to connect it. At the end, adjust vertices so you get the shape you want and add more edge loops if you feel you need them to get the proper shape. When you're done, move the pivot point if it's not in the middle of the grid already. We will mirror it to the other side, so move the pivot point, then freeze transformation and go to Edit to delete history. Go to Mesh and select Mirror. Let's open the options. We can reset the mirror and check the options again. We could leave the mirror as it is, but practice makes it perfect. We know we will mirror object across axis X, so we can leave that, but change from minus to plus, then click Apply. Let's lower the number at Merge Threshold to 0.1. We have to give color some thickness. It cannot just be paper thin. When you're satisfied with its shape, select all the faces and extrude them. You can drag the arrow or you can just type the number in Local Translate. Isolate the object, and if you have symmetry enabled, disable it. Now select the inside edge loop and delete the faces. We had to delete the edge loop from the color because we will connect the color to the neck by bridging the bottom part and the top part to the neck. Create a new layer for the color. Select it, then click the layer icon and name it. Don't forget to pick a color. Do you remember that edge loop we created for making the color? We can delete it away. Now turn on multicut and disable edge flow. Then make 2 cuts into the neck. First at the top of the color, then the bottom one, but you can make this one very close to the neck base. Then select the faces between the cuts and delete them. Go to the color and let's move the bottom part of it closer to the jacket with soft selection. Change the pivot point orientation in Move tool to Component. So hold V and left click and select Component. You can do this also in Tool Settings. Press 4 to go into Wireframe view and move color to the neck. When you're done with the color, combine it with the jacket. So, select the color and the jacket while holding Shift and then combine them. Connect the color to the neck with Bridge. In Edit mode, double-click the neck edge loop, then the color and then use Bridge. You can Control-Delete the edge loop that was from the color. And now let's get to the inside part. It will be a bit hard to see, but double-click on both edges, bridge them, and then delete the edge loop that was from the color as well. Great! Now we have the jacket almost done. Let's do the edge of the jacket the same way we've done with the sleeves. Select the entire jacket edge, then go to Edit mode and select Duplicate. Select the newly duplicated edge and put the pivot point to the center. Click Center Pivot and scale the mesh by Z and X axis. Don't scale it in height. To reverse faces, we need to go to Mesh Display and select Reverse. Select both of them with Shift and combine them. Now select both edge loops and bridge them. Now you can see that the bridge wasn't good. We got this twisted loop, but we want straight faces. Let's undo this. We can solve this by bridging 2 opposing edges. Then select all the edges, but deselect the side edges of the new face that we've made and then click Bridge. The jacket now has a bottom edge. What we still need are pockets and buttons. We will model only side pockets and ignore the chest pocket because the chest pocket is now at a very awkward position. It's right where the mesh would bend a lot if it were animated. So I would do the pocket in high poly version of the model and have it as a bake only or as a part of the texture, but not really modeled. So for now, we will ignore the chest pocket and we will do the side pockets. We need to add some more edge loops to get the pockets. Enable symmetry, activate multicut, and disable edge flow. We will cut the shape of the pockets into the jacket the same way we've done with the lapels. So let's cut the shape of the pocket's trim first. You will have to presume how far to the side the pockets go because I didn't draw them in side view. Sorry. When you have the pocket, turn the transform constraint to surface and move vertices around to get a nicer shape. The shape is okay, so I'll turn off the transform constraint. Turn n-gons to quads at the outsides of the pocket. You can do this with multicut, so you cut the shape into the faces, or you can click two vertices and connect them. Make such connections outside of the pocket first. Now select entire pocket and extrude it. Select the pocket's trim and extrude it again. When you've made extrusions, clean the mesh. Use target weld all around the pocket and voila! I'll move the edges a bit to get rounder shape. You can do so too, and don't forget to have symmetry enabled. What we need to do now are the buttons. So for buttons, create a new cylinder. Go to Inputs and change Subdivision Axis to 12 and Caps to 0. Delete the caps away in Edit mode. Scale the cylinder in height and create new caps with a bridge. We want to have quads. So select two opposing edges and click Bridge. You can click Bridge every time if you want, or press G to repeat the last command. Now, if we bridged the last remaining holes at the sides, we would get triangles. So let's create a new edge loop. Use multicut while holding Ctrl Shift to activate Snap Step. Then drag vertices and weld them to the sides. I want the bottom to have a bit of an edge, so select top faces and extrude them, but don't pull them out, just scale them inwards. Then press Extrude again and push the faces downwards. Now that we have the shape, move the button to the jacket and rotate it for 90 degrees. When you're done, move the button to the jacket so it clips a bit with it, but not too much. Now we want to duplicate this button in a way that if we make changes to one, they will all change. You can use freeze transformation to freeze everything, or if you want to keep the coordinates of its position and rotation, freeze scales only. Whatever you decide to do, you should always freeze scale. You can freeze only a specific channel by right-clicking it on the channel box, going to freeze and selecting what you wish to freeze. So, freeze the button. During the recording, I forgot to delete history, so you should go to Edit, Delete All by Type and select History. Then, click on the button and go to Edit and open Options of the Duplicate Special. Let's reset settings first. Now, we want to change geometry type to Instance. In Copy, we just make regular copies, but in Instance, duplicated objects are connected through Mesh and the UVs. So set it to Instance. We can leave everything else as it is, and you can press Apply. Move the duplicated button down and press Apply again to get another one. Now we can close the Duplicate Special window. If we go to Edit mode, we can see all the buttons are reacting to selection and changes. There we go! Now we have a fully modeled jacket. In the next video, we shall create the boy's legs and connect them together. If you have liked this video guide so far, check out our YouTube channel for other guides. We have quite a selection available. Follow us on social media to see what we're up to, and until next time, I wish you all happy modeling.